Again, everyone, and welcome to the Dan McShane Show here on WBCD1490.com alongside Pennsbury head coach Dan McShane. I'm Mike Samsel filling in for Vince Reed this week. We are presented by RA Health, your friends and neighbors here in Lower Bucks County, and also by the Pennsbury Recreational Basketball Association. And Dan, it was a good win for you guys this week, 21-19 against Council Rock South. And I think one of the good things about your team that we've seen this season is you guys are now starting to find a way to win those close games.
Yeah, a young team that's like exactly that. Just grinding and finding. The past 3 weeks have been kind of walking the tightrope, but it's a win. I think it's a good win. They're all good wins. You don't have to draw pictures, only numbers. So we got 3 in a row so far. So yeah.
So let's flash back to that Ben Salem game. Fall down 14-0, you're down 14-0 at halftime. You guys come back, win that game. Do you feel like that was really a turning point for you? The light kind of started to go on with the young team?
Yeah, and the turning point was the leadership that we found. As outside the X's and O's, we had told the kids that there's no more plays we can draw up. You guys got to find it yourself. We had a couple senior leaders, and Joe Magna was one of them, and kind of inspired the team to kind of play up to our ability. And it was a very rousing halftime speech, not by me, but him.
Right. So now you get the win last week against Council Rock South. Let's dive into that game a little bit. What are some of the things that you saw in that game that you were really happy with and you really liked?
Well, we're starting to kind of come along a little more offensively. We're getting guys blocked up more. It's kind of been one of our weaknesses, and we took care of the ball for the most part. But defensively, we're just solid. We have a lot of faith in our run defense, and they played well there. And we got Jazz Phelps back too, who really added to our pass rush. So we feel like we can get people in third and long. We can get after them in the pass rush game too. So that was very encouraging.
Offensively, this was Pennsbury. This was ground and pound. Well, that's not really the case anymore. You guys like running a little bit more of a spread offense, even though you guys still do run the football quite a bit. So where do you feel like the offense is at right now?
Well, again, we had to open up the toolbox wide at the beginning of the year, and we struggled, and so we kind of threw a lot of stuff back in, and now we're starting to pull more out again. So our receivers are starting to know the delicate art of running routes, and the quarterback is doing a nice job, and so we're starting to kind of package together our run offense with our play action pass game, and then with our obvious pass offense type of stuff too. So we feel good about it. There's still a long way to go with it, but we're gradually exposing the kids to more and more with the pass offense.
And where do you feel like Zach is in that development?
Zach is, I think he's a very cerebral kid, and I think he's just got to kind of trust it. He's very athletic. We like when he runs the football for us, but I think in the pass offense, he's still coming as far as learning to just cut the ball loose and trust himself and trust his receivers.
Sometimes here in the PIAA in high school football, especially in the public schools, special teams can be a little bit wearying, maybe don't have the right kicker, right punter, what have you. Where do you feel like your special teams are right now?
We place a major emphasis on that. We have a very extended half-hour period each day on special teams. A lot of schools don't do that, but we believe in it. And we load up the kickoff coverage team. We talk about we used to try to play some younger kids, but when we got behind on our schedule a little bit, we said all hands on deck. So we got some starters that are covering kicks and punts and protecting on kicks and punts, and our kickers are really starting to come on and starting to bomb the ball deep, and it really aids in our kickoff coverage and our punt protection, which we work a ton on. We tell the kids it's the biggest play in football is the punt. We work on, we don't want to have any punts blocked.
This is the Dan McShane Show presented by ARIA Health, your friends and neighbors here in Lower Bucks County. We'll be back with more right after this.
Merrill Reese here to tell you about my good friends at Haldman Ford Subaru on Route 33 in Hamilton Township. For outstanding sales and service, you can depend on the folks at Haldman Ford Subaru for the best value on new and pre-owned Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs, along with a great selection of value-priced new and pre-owned Subarus. And no one offers the service that Haldman does in their huge, state-of-the-art service facility. Service so great that many area municipalities and commercial fleets get their service performed by Haldman Ford Subaru. From Langhorne to Princeton, folks like you to commercial fleets trust the name Haldman for sales and service. Haldman Ford Subaru, Route 33 in Hamilton Township. Merrill Reese here to tell you about our good friends at McCaffreys Food Markets. McCaffreys is growing and is now open in Doylestown and Bluebell. But Jim McCaffrey and his family never forget their roots, and that's why they continue to support our local schools and are proud to support Pennsbury and Council Rock and other schools in the area. Many students are employed at McCaffrey's, and McCaffrey's food markets feature the finest prepared food department for those always on the go. From healthy salads to prime cuts of steak and fresh seafood dishes, you'll always find something for your family to enjoy in McCaffrey's prepared food department. And for everyday exceptional value, it's McCaffrey's Food Markets, locally owned and operated by Jim McCaffrey and his family in the Edgewood Village Shopping Center, 635 Heacock Road in Yardley, in the villages of Newtown, 2890 South Eagle Road, also in Princeton, West Windsor, and now open in Doylestown and Bluebell. Strong starts are essential on the field and in life. That's why PNC created the Grow Up Great program, a $350 million multi-year bilingual initiative that began in 2004 to help prepare children from birth to age 5 for success in school and life. PNC is helping children in our community more than ever grow up great. Learn more at pncgrowupgreat.com. PNC for the achiever in you. PNC Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome back to the Dan McShane Show, presented by the Continental Tavern, right at the corner of Main and Afton in Yardley. Make sure you stop in and check them out. Great spirits, also great burgers as well. That's the Continental Tavern at the corner of Main Street and Afton Avenue in Yardley, so make sure you stop in and check them out. Alongside Dan McShane, I'm Mike Samsel, filling in for Vince Reed this week. So now let's flash forward to your matchup against Abington. This 2-week stretch here is going to be hugely important. Some coaches take a different approach when it comes to this style. Hey, we got to win a quarter, we got to win the next play, or we got to win this game to get to the playoffs. What's your approach?
We're going to win the next down.
Yeah.
I mean, we're micromanaging the whole thing. They have a good running attack, and we pride ourselves in stopping the run, and so it's going to be a great matchup. But yeah, it's pretty much play by play. We can't look any further than that.
Do you mention the P word around the locker room here?
We talk about our goals,
Okay.
and that's one of them. So yeah, for sure. I mean, we used to win a lot of games around here and get in the playoffs. So I don't know what it would be like around Thanksgiving time, sitting at home. So I hope the kids tell the same thing. It's a really pretty cool time of year, and hope they get a chance to experience it.
So what's one thing, obviously we can't give away your whole game plan here, but we know Abington likes to run the football. They have a couple of great running backs. I'm sure you're going to be keen on that.
Yeah, what we always say, the game plan is very simple. Football, simple games. Get the ball, keep the ball. So, but yeah, we have, we've noticed, what's going on out there, and they've had some big games, and again, it's immovable something against immovable something, and whatever. They got a great run back, and we're going to have to really get people a lot of hats to the ball like we normally do. So.
Well, I know that's one of the things that's going to be interesting about this particular matchup is you have two young teams here, two teams that were expected to be, right competing with Neshaminy. You guys are both learning ways to win, and this, might well be a playoff game coming up for all intents and purposes on Friday night. So, how big is it to have a game like that here at Falcon Field?
Again, we felt like we've been playing the playoff games the past 3 weeks, but yeah, it's a pretty cool atmosphere, and we all know the math behind it. I mean, they have so many wins, we have so many wins, and so looking at PowerPoints, I teach over at Penn State, and they're going back and forth talking about their PowerPoints, and so it's pretty cool that there's so many teams in the area that are in the hunt now for this type of environment and game. So.
Do you think the change from 6A and now having 6 classifications of football, what do you think that has done to really affect the play this year?
I haven't seen much of a change. It's at the top levels of whatever you want to call it, 4A, 6A football. It's all still the same players.
That's Dan McShane. I'm Mike Sampson. We'll be back with more right after this.
ER Express is the newest online reservation system for patients in Bucks County with non-life-threatening illnesses or conditions to reserve a time online to be treated at ARIA's Fast Care, Urgent Care, or emergency departments. ER Express streamlines evaluations so patients are treated more quickly, and best of all, it holds your reservation while you're in the comfort of your own home. Please remember, patients who experience major injuries and traumas should always go immediately to the emergency department. Reserve your spot online now with ER Express. Visit ariahealth.org/ER-express. That's ariahealth.org/ER-express.
Wherever weights are racked, rackets are swung.
To move is to live. And wherever you find bodies in motion, you'll find people who've rebuilt their lives with the help of Rothman Institute.
Balls are pitched, skates are laced.
More bones repaired, more joints replaced. No body in our region has done more for more bodies than Rothman.
Lawns are mowed, swings are pushed.
So when you're ready to run again, ride again, move again, live again, think Rothman first. RothmanInstitute.com.
We're back here on the Dan McShane Show. I'm Mike Samsel filling in for Vince Reed alongside Penn State head coach Dan McShane. Thanks so much for joining us as we're getting set for the matchup with the Galloping Ghost on Abington. Depending on when you're hearing this, it's either coming up on Friday night at 6:30. We'll begin our live coverage from Falcon Field, or if you're listening to this on the AM, stay tuned. We'll be coming up next from Falcon Field, but we're here on a Wednesday just getting set for practice. And you mentioned something earlier that I thought was really cool. You talked about the big rousing speech, and finally one of those youngsters stepped up and became a leader for you. So let's take us inside the locker room at that time, not how the players react, but how head coach Dan McShane reacts when he sees, all right, somebody finally gets it.
Well, yeah, it's ultimately, you try to develop. I like to have the coach on the field type of kids. We
Sure.
try to identify them, and in the end, the kids have to own this themselves. As I said, there's no more plays, and so you identify kids like that, and there's kids like that. I think that Joe Magel might be a really good teacher someday too, and a good coach. And so you kind of track his after he graduates from here. But all kids like that, they kind of assume that ownership and realize that it's no longer about the coach, it's about what we do out on the field. So it's exciting to find kids like that.
Now, I'm going to take a look around the league right now, because we knew Neshaminy was going to be pretty strong heading into this season. But has that second tier surprised you, that a team like Ben Salem has stepped up and been really competitive this year? Rock South has been feisty this year. Have you been surprised at some of the second tier teams and how they've risen up?
Well, we saw Ben Salem here during the summer in 7-on-7. They had athletes all over the field, so we kind of knew that they were going to do some damage this year. But yeah, the Rock North, Rock South. I mean, again, any team coached by Vinny is going to compete, and really take the last couple seconds of the game, which happened last week.
Yeah.
And I think obviously we lost a ton of guys at graduations. We kind of come back to the pack a little bit, but. And Neshaminy was tracking, with all their senior leadership this year. So,
Sure.
In regards to that game, we'll talk about that down the line. But, we've been there though, where we've gone up there against Neshaminy, with a young team,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of found ourselves as a young team. So, and again, I talked to people a ton of times at Ben Salem, and they feel like they were in that spot last week, and might handle a little bit differently next time around,
Right.
So and they were right there, so but yeah, it's really it's nice to see competitive football throughout, all throughout the league, and there's nights I stood on the sideline the past 5 years and kind of just like, oh man, this is like, and not that to mean anybody, but
Sure.
it's we trust Norway and a lot of really good players,
Right.
and so all of a sudden it's 35-0 halftime. You're kind of like, okay, what's my way?
Yeah, what's next?
Doing the to-do list, and, so anyway.
Now, I want to mention some of the other players. You've talked about some guys that have stepped up this season. What are some of those guys that you've been really impressed with this year? As guys that kind of stepped up, taken that next step, guys that you've really spotlighted?
Well, we got, on the defensive side is Ryan Howard, an inside linebacker. He's one of our returning starters. You kind of expected that, but he's been a real, definitely, vocal, but more importantly, demonstrate leadership. And I would say him on the offensive side, and then really, I'm sorry, the defensive side. On the offensive side would be like Zach Buxar, who's a quiet leader, never really says a word, but like you just watch him on tape and he just gets it right all the time, And so kids look at that and say he's a player,
Right. So you talked about you're not really focused on winning the next game, playoffs, anything like that. You're focused on winning the next down.
Yeah,
how do you get a
it's
bunch of
typical coach speak?
No, but how do you get 15 to 18-year-olds to buy into that concept as well and not look too far ahead? And have they done it?
It's a challenge. But you gotta the preparation. Is huge, and you go into the game, and that should be the easy part. We're going to drive them real hard in the preparation phase, and and line up right and play right, and so we feel like the kids have been you got to rein them in every now and then, but
Yeah.
you know, it's like, okay, come on back. You know, it's nice to talk about Thanksgiving, but right now we got, you know, this game in front of us. So.
All right, that's Pennsbury head coach Dan McShane. The Dan McShane Show here on WBCB 1490 is presented by the Pennsbury Recreational Basketball Association, also by the Continental Tavern at the corners of Main and Afton in Yardley, and also by Aria Health, your friends and neighbors here in Lower Bucks County. Coach, good luck this week. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks.